how to transform the frequency of your entire bloodline. Now, most of us grow up with generational curses, whether quite literally or understanding the concept of feeling completely chained and binded by those that came before us in their patterns, their negative beliefs, their programming, the way that they see the world. And we actually, if we don't have the capability of transcending those who came before us, then we will become them. I always say, until you can transcend the frequency of your parents, you will become them, and every other person just like them. Now, in order to do that, we need to completely alter the vibration of these generational curses into what I call generational blessings. And as you can see, our boy over here is on his knees, pause. AJ wasn't messing with my drawing. He said that doesn't look like he's on his knees, but he is. And we have our other guy over here who's clearly happy because he has completely altered the consciousness of his entire family, and he'll be passing that down to his generations. So as always, got ya. I got a bunch of dollars, I can spend them on her.
That was literally in my head.
That was in your head?
Yeah.
In my head, I see you all over me.
I don't know that song.
You don't know that song? Jason Derulo. Come on, bro.
I swear down.
What? Bro, Jason Derulo he owned like 2010. Are you mad? Come on, man.
I'm not saying he didn't, but yeah, nah. Sing the song again.
What did he say? In and now, say the word and we'll go. I'll be a teacher. I'll show you the ropes.
Nah.
You'll see a side of love you never known. I can see it going down. In my head, I see you all over me. You're taking a piss, man.
I'm taking a
You're
bit.
taking a piss, man. Anyway, guys, there's about 4 or 5 steps. I haven't really concluded what those steps are yet, but but there's about 4 or 5 steps in order for you to actually transmute your generational curses, or the aspects of you that feels like they're patterns that you've derived from those who came before you. There's 4 or 5 steps to do that. So let's start with number 1. Now, the first thing that you have to do is come to the understanding of this. You need to be able to do one thing, which one thing most people are never going to be able to do. And that one thing is to connect the invisible string that connects your mind and reality. There's an invisible string that connects your mind and your reality. 90% of people are never ever going to be able to conceive that their mind is one with their reality. There is no mind and there is no reality, there's only one. Now, when we look at this from the perspective of altering the vibration of your generational curses and being the one who actually has the capability of changing the course of reality for your bloodline, you're going to have to do one thing in particular. You're going to have to analyze the realities of those who came before you. And the reason you need to do that is because we often think that the mind can hold secrets. The mind can't hold secrets because the mind outpictures it into reality. That's a bar, write that down. And your ability to look at the realities of those who came before you will actually give you the direct reflection of their mind. But not only their mind, we can conceptualize it as mind, we can also conceptualize it as their consciousness, imagination. These terms are all directly interchangeable. So your ability to analyze the lives, and you have to do this from a point of non-judgment. It can't be from an egotistical standpoint where you see them as NPCs and they're fucking robots who can't get out their ways. You need to have a particular degree of humility here. You need to be able to analyze the realities of those who came before you, because what you're going to get is something very, very important. You're going to get the feedback loop. Which will highlight the relationship between their mind and their reality. I need you to understand something. The entirety of the world that somebody lives in, their universe, is directly shaped by them. You, in particular, specifically your frequency. If you conceptualize your frequency as a product code, and I always give this example because it's the easiest way to conceptualize it, your frequency is nothing more than a unique energy signature. I don't have space, but let's just put it here because why not? Your frequency is a unique energy signature. You can think about it like a unique code. And that particular code lines up to a particular reality. And that reality is exactly what you'll be given when the universe checks the code, verifies, certifies, and validates it and sends it out to you. Those who came before you, you need to be able to look at their realities. Now, this could be on a multitude of different levels. This could be on a level of observing their reality financially. So you can extrapolate this to poverty. You can extrapolate this to maybe bad relationships. You can extrapolate this to health. You can extrapolate this to failure or success. It doesn't matter. You simply need to be able to understand that if those who came before you dwell in poverty or struggle or suffering or scarcity, then you need to have the capability of understanding that they can only exist in that condition based upon their mental condition. On earth as it is in heaven, as within, as without. Before anything exists physically, it first must exist vibrationally, which is a combination of mentally and spiritually. For you to come to that type of understanding, by looking at their life, no matter what it is, you're going to be able to gauge what particular state of consciousness they're in, whether they have bad relationships, whether they have bad financial relationships, let's say, whether they have a continuous streak of failure or a continuous streak of whatever it is. Typically in instances, success shouldn't be there because in these instances, it's more often things that we consider air quotes negative, which if we're being honest, negative and positive are polarities, and polarity is a law which only exists within this third dimensional realm. As we transcend outside of our reality, there is no negative or positive. There is no one and one. Everything, well, there is no one and two. Everything is one. And this is highlighted and within the realm of quantum mechanics when we go into concepts such as quantum entanglement. But point being, you just have to be able to look at the people, whether your parents, whether your family, your grandparents, whatever bloodline you're in, you need to be able to look at them and say, okay, these people struggled financially. And if they were in a reality of financial struggle, then that means mentally there's some type of mental struggle when it comes to finances. If they're continuously having bad particular relationships, then you need to come to the understanding that before those bad relationships can exist physically, they first exist mentally. And you need to be able to see what that one pattern is and be able to highlight it and write it down, which you should be taking notes and make sure you leave them in the comments as usual. But you need to have this map down so you can clearly see what is the frequency that you're going to be working with. Because this frequency of whatever it is, whether it's poverty, bad relationships, or they continuously just don't seem to be able to move forward in life. These things can only exist due to a frequency. And there's 5 levels of frequency that I'm gonna break down to you very shortly. Relax, you're gonna get some, you're gonna get some. Just, it's all right, just breathe, just take deep breaths. But understand that your reality is nothing more than a feedback loop of what's going on in your mind. You should never be confused about what's going on in your reality. Because if you're confused about what's going on in your reality, then that indicates a particular level of unawareness to what's going on in your mind. The individual who's aware of their mind is always going to be aware of what's going on in their reality because they understand the invisible string that connects the mind and reality. If you're walking through life and you're saying, oh, why me, man? Why is this happening to me? How is this happening? Then that shows that you're not spending enough time within. And ironically, the people that suffer the most externally are those who spend the least amount of time internally. That's a bar, write that down. Now, as I said, we're going to break down, excuse me, we're going to break down these realities across 5 different levels of frequency, because now that you have called out whatever particular pattern it is that you're trying to break free from in your family. And we see this all the time, right? I'm African, so trust me, I know the idea of generational curses. People believe that they continuously fail in their businesses and in their jobs because it's either the devil or some witch who's just evil, because why not? And this can be extrapolated across many different cultures across the world. Even Jamaicans, AJ, you lot have obia, right? Now,
We do.
you do. Now, I say all of that to say, you see that video where that person got turned into a goat?
You always come up with this BS, bro.
It's not BS, bro. See, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Anyways, now let's break down that particular degree of reality, because I need you to understand, before a reality can exist, the prerequisite to the materialization of a reality is a frequency. Reality is nothing more than the materialization of consciousness. It's just consciousness in solid form. And I always give the example of imagination. Imagination, you can't touch it. You can't touch steam. You can touch ice, you can touch the world. Steam and ice are the same energy, simply different rates of vibration. Imagination, consciousness, mind, frequency, and matter, the world around you, your universe, is the exact same energy. The only difference is rate of vibration. So let's break this down across 5 different levels now. AJ, one girl commented that I talk to you too much in these videos. You know what I told her?
What?
I told her this ain't a fucking restaurant.
She sounds jealous, bro.
You think she's jealous?
She's jealous, 100%.
Listen, I know you guys are used to the spiritual niggas that, you know, they just sit there and they say, yes, and then love and light, and this is what you need to, and they are so serious, but I'm not a serious guy. Now, bear in mind, guys, don't get it twisted. When you guys give me video suggestions, I'll always take those into consideration. Always, as you've noticed, right?
Apart from the 10 books, is still
I haven't done the book recommendation video yet because I'm actually rereading all the books before I recommend them to you guys. I'm very serious about the videos that I make. But to the point of that girl, this ain't a fucking restaurant. Like, would you tell a chef how to make a bolognese? Like, really and truly, if the talking between me and my guy is bothering you that much, then you could literally just go watch someone else. That's what I would do. You know what I'm saying? If you can find this in other places, then by all means, please do. I urge you to. Because, you know, I'm always learning from my spiritual teachers, you know, Homelander, Joffrey Baratheon, the Joker, specifically Heath Ledger's version, the Bane, Tony Soprano's recent one of mine too. And yeah, I'd probably say Mojo Jojo too. Why not? Throw him out there. Now, after having analyzed the particular realities of the people that came before you, understanding that those realities are nothing more than the materialization of their frequency, which they've been unaware of, which is a good point to know. The reason why people continuously create generational curses, and I have a whole video on this, so go watch that. But the whole reason that people actually create generational curses to begin with is due to the lack of unawareness and due to the, lack of awareness of the patterns and the consciousness that's been passed down to them, and then the lack of awareness of their ability to break it. I need you guys to understand something. Beliefs are very, very tricky. And beliefs are tricky because people often say, how do I change a negative belief? You know, I got this belief from my mom, I got it from my grandparents, I got this from whoever. How do I change it? Just make a decision to believe something else. But see, it seems more complicated than that. And it's simply because the old frequency that wants to continuously stay around will actually make it seem more complicated than it actually is. So you instantly mentally shut down when it comes to your ability to alter it. How are you going to change a negative belief other than the realization that you actually chose it, or it was given to you, you chose to accept it, and then you could just continuously kept it? All you need to do is just choose something else and continuously keep it, which I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Relax, you're going to get some. But I just wanted to go and make that little point because I need you to understand you're more powerful than you'll ever know. Now, after having analyzed the realities of these individuals, then we need to do something else in particular. And that is to break those realities down across the 5 levels of what I call frequency. And guys, everything should be kept simple. People are always saying, you know, I'm always seeing, especially elderly people that are like in their 60s and 70s commenting, you know, I've been studying this for decades, but this is the most simple I've ever heard it. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. I could be extremely complicated and show you guys my ego, but let's be honest, who's really got time for that? He's really got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look cool, but you leave the video feeling like you just watched 50 minutes with nothing to show for it. It's just ridiculous. Now, like I said, break down those realities across 5 levels of frequencies. Now, I'm just going to stick to poverty and let's say bad relationships because those tend to be the main one when I speak to people that come across. But please extrapolate this to whatever particular condition of reality is that your family has seemed to pass down onto you. So the 5 levels of frequency go as follows, in no particular order: beliefs, focus or attention, identity, emotional conviction, and then emotionally charged thoughts. Yeesh. Oof. Now, these are the 5 levels of frequency. Each one of these particular factors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cool. Each one of these factors equate to a frequency, and understand that frequency is a unique energetic signature. That energetic signature can also be conceptualized as a product code. That product code is matched with a particular reality. Each and every single time. Every frequency must turn into a reality, and every reality is first a frequency. Always remember that. And I need you guys to understand something. In fact, one of the first things that I actually need you to come to the conceptualization of is that reality is only unmovable so long as you are unmovable. That's a bar, write that down. More often than not, there's a particular rigidness and firmness in your mind when it comes to these beliefs, especially your ability to even alter these beliefs to begin with. You are the one that's unmovable. And because you are unmovable, your reality is unmovable, because remember, you and your reality are one. Now, each one of these factors equate to your frequency. They all contribute to your frequency. And it's not until you can break down the quote unquote generational curse, or the condition of reality that your family has been going through across these 5 levels, that you will repeat them. So let's do that. Now, for the mere fact, as I said, the most common ones that I run into people when they talk to me about, it's either poverty or bad relationships. So I'll do my best to cover them, but if I didn't cover your specific generational curse, then I believe that you are more than intellectually and spiritually adequate to do that. Now, beliefs. So let's say poverty, right? Let's say that your family have been generationally poor, and it just seems as though you guys just can't break the cycle, and you're going to be the one that breaks the cycle. Because the thing about the black goat, the black sheep of the family, sorry, is that the black sheep of the family always turns to the goat. Shout out Nines. Now, beliefs. What particular beliefs would somebody who's experiencing a condition of poverty have? They'd probably believe specific beliefs that are in direct opposition to the easy attainment of money, let's say. So their beliefs would probably be something along the lines of, I don't have enough, we're not wealthy, or being wealthy or being rich isn't for us. Being rich can then lead you to be evil. Being rich can get you to hell, which, come on guys, at this point we should really understand that if the kingdom of heaven is within you, as it says in Luke 17:21, and Jesus went and said the exact same thing in the book of Thomas, then if heaven is within you, then that means the opposite of heaven is hell, which means that hell is also a particular condition in you. In fact, heaven are thoughts and frequencies that are above you, and hell are thoughts that are beneath you. That's a bar, write that down. Now, like I said, these beliefs could be anything along the lines of money is evil. It's easier for a camel to pass the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven, and all of these type of particular beliefs. I don't have enough, you need to work hard for money, so on and so forth. Money doesn't come easy, money doesn't grow on trees. As you can see, we're beginning to actually point out what are in the first aspect of the levels of energy. Please do this, just do this with whatever yours is. Focus. What are they focused on? They're probably focused on the amount of scarcity. They're probably focused on how bad the economy is, the cost of living, the inflation's going up. They're probably focused on things that resemble, resonate, and reflect a particular degree of scarcity. They're focusing on poverty. They're focusing on what they don't have, so on and so forth. Now, their identity. When I say identity, I need you to conceptualize it as this. Obviously, Batman is the best superhero. Marvel, DC, doesn't matter, of course. Batman has his own identity, which means there's things that Batman does that other people don't do. So Batman doesn't do what the Flash does, and the Flash doesn't do what Batman does. Extrapolate this to the particular concepts that we're talking about right now. When you have the particular, let's say, concept of poverty, the self-concept of poverty, there's things that we do as broke people that other rich people just wouldn't be doing. Like what are some things? What are things that, I don't even remember, but what are things like for example, I don't know where you are in the world. But in the UK, there's a restaurant called Nando's. And back in the day when we used to go to Nando's, like what some people would do, what we've done is we would order, because when you order a drink at Nando's, they just give you the glass. They just give you one glass, right? And then you go fill it up yourself. What people would do is ask for water, take the water and pay like 50p or whatever it was for water. I think water was even free.
Yeah, water's free.
And then they'd go fill it up with Coke or Fanta or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's broke nigga shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That we used to do. And there's gonna be other things, right? There's gonna be a whole bunch of other things that your mind is probably just coming to the understanding of. I once split a burger across 4 people, mum's life.
Jesus.
And it was a chicken mayo, which is like a 1 pound burger, and it's like the tiniest of burgers. Split that between 4 men, ate that, mum's life. And for the Americans, mom's life is like, oh my mama, bro. Like, you know, just so you understand.
Oh,
but yes,
bro.
there's gonna be specific things that we do that coincide with a particular identity. And this identity is mainly going to revolve around doing stuff that poor people do or broke niggas do, as we have all done, by the way. And people don't understand. If you look at the area that I grew up in an area in Wolverhampton. When I tell people in the UK I'm from Wolves, they look at me like, like, what are you doing here? Wolves is in the West Midlands. Did you know that the West Midlands was the gun capital of the UK?
Is it?
I didn't even know that.
Didn't even know we had a gun capital, bro.
You get me? And in the UK, we don't even have guns. Americans always laughing that we have shanks. But like, you know, no one's trying to go to jail for guns for that long, but you get my point. Now, emotional conviction. Emotional conviction is nothing more than your ability to know. If you're in a continuous state of poverty, you know that you're a poor person. You know that there's certain things that, you know, revolve and reflect poverty to you. You just know. I don't have much. I know I don't have much. And when we enter a particular type of knowing is really and truly what was spoken about esoterically in the Bible when we talk on concepts such as faith. Faith comes from the etymological origins of the word fides. Fides meant conviction or confidence. It's the sheer idea of knowing. And knowing has a particular strength of frequency behind it that allows for that frequency's strength to be stronger and then end up making it easier to materialize into a particular condition of reality. And then our emotionally charged thoughts. So what would the thoughts of somebody who revolve around money? It would probably be stuff such as, I can't pay my bills, how am I gonna pay my rent? And then you'd end up feeling scared, worried, so on and so forth. I remember when the debt collectors used to come and we used to hide like it was Jehovah's Witness knocking on the door. Real talk, serious. And these thoughts would have emotion in them. Emotion is energy emotion, which is the energetic vibration, which when that builds momentum, that vibration becomes a frequency, and all frequencies must turn into what? Realities. So emotionally charged thoughts, the thoughts that we entertain specifically around money are going to be things that make us feel scared when we think them. Oh, I'm not going to pay this. Oh, my girl says she wants to go on a date and I ain't got no money. What am I going to do? Girls actually don't know the stress that they cause man them. Moms. you ever gone out, bro? Bro, I went out, right? I had like, at the time, I must have like £20 in my account. Literally £20. When we're ordering food, I'm praying, please don't go over £20. Please don't go over £20. But see, that type of stuff is emotionally charged thoughts. And those emotionally charged thoughts have a different vibration. Not all thoughts are made equal. I need you to get out the paranoia when you get into the reality creation or manifestation space where they say, oh, you know, all thoughts create reality, and you end up becoming paranoid because you just have these intrusive negative thoughts. It doesn't work like that. It's thoughts that are emotionally charged that lead to materialization of reality. Now, that is as much as I can do on poverty. As I'm saying on these things, there's going to be certain things that come up for you that you're going to be aware of. Make sure you write them down because it's going to be very, very important for what we do next. Now, in the context of relationships, let's say your family has continuous bad relationships. I know a lot of African women especially believe that when they don't get married, it's because some random person's cursed them. But understand, nobody can curse you without your permission. More often than not, we curse ourselves unconsciously without realizing it. We curse ourselves mentally and then attempt to get blessings externally. It doesn't make no sense. Let's borrow that down. So if we look at beliefs, you know, me just thinking off the top of my head, it would be stuff such as, you know, all men are trash. All girls are hoes, that are gold diggers, that don't want their money. This is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to be a woman. It's like, you know, those type of nigga podcasts. I pray that we don't see those in 2025 on my mom's live.
We will.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think so? You playing 50-50 on the day though?
You know what, I was thinking of that when you said the podcast.
But you get the point for beliefs. There's going to be particular things on the perception between the genders on what it means to be in a relationship, what it means to be a person, how we see, which more often than not, if we look at the way society is kind of structured things, there seems to be a particular gender war in our perceptions towards each other, so on and so forth. But then it have to be what your focus is on. Then your focus more often than not is going to be revolving around a particular degree of either toxicity, or you're focusing on the worst aspect of relationships, all the horror stories, everything that goes wrong, what's going to happen if this happens, what's going to happen if this happens, so on and so forth. Your focus is actually being weaponized against you. And your focus is a centralization of energy. Energy compounds into a vibration, compounds into a frequency, and then compounds into a reality. Your identity is going to be specifically something that revolves around you being an individual that either thinks all people are this and all people are that, which actually ends up creating reality in of itself. Then your emotional conviction is going to be, I know men are trash. I know girls are gold diggers that are gonna leave you for some guy on Instagram who's got all these followers and all this other shit. And then emotionally charged thoughts are gonna be centered around things that typically contain a particular degree of resentment or irritation within the context of relationships. But please extrapolate this to whatever your thing is and then follow through with this on yourself. Asia, you're making me nervous behind this. Everything all right?
Camera's a bit hot.
We'll be all right.
You don't know what that means, do you?
What does that mean?
If it gets too hot, the recording could just cut off.
Nah. That's not gonna happen, bro. Open a window or something. That's not gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. That's not my reality.
In here it's kind of hot, to be honest.
So are you.
Thanks. So are you.
Yeah, man. Bro, somebody keeps commenting that they saw us kissing in town. I don't know who this
That's
person.
ridiculous.
I don't know who this person is. They just keep commenting it, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
That's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh. Cool. Now, the next thing that we have to understand, specifically around the concept of what we were just talking about, let me change pen colors, is this. So you have to understand, when people experience a particular continuous degree of a negative situation that is repeated or a generational curse, they then end up seeing that generational curse as a truth. It's true, our family hasn't been able to succeed. It's true that the women in our family don't get married. It's true that we've been poor for X amount of time. It's true that this happens, so on and so forth. And the truth is that there is no truth. What there is, when we truly understand the nature of reality, is that there are merely ideas pretending to be truths. That's a bar, write that down. And what I mean by that is this. In the Hermetic tradition, they say all truths are half-truths when you look at the concept of polarity. And it's due to the mere fact that, and please remember this, there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. I repeat, there are no truths in your reality that you will experience other than what your subconscious mind accepts as true. But what is true is nothing more than an idea that has a particular degree of emotional charge. When that emotional charge hits the subconscious mind, it enters the subconscious mind, and that will create an experience in reality that then we would call a truth. But that is not the case. That is not the case at all. Now, I say all of this to say, and I'll give an example, right? So I had a client of mine who came to me from making 100K months. He went down to 10 and even lower. Shout out Ricky, amazing. And in 2 months, you know, he sent me a text the other day, a voice note, and he said, we're back at 110K in 2 months. So from 10K, from 100K down, and then back up to 110K in 2 months. And the reason for that is because we had to break down some of the truths that he accepted. Because more often than not, we begin to accept truths that don't serve us. And when we understand that there's no truths but ideas, I need you to understand something. If an idea doesn't serve you, then it's just there to control you.
That's a bar, write that down.
If an idea doesn't serve you, then it's just there to control you. And this can be seen across the board. How often do we accept things that actually don't serve us at all, and we accept them as truth? And the issue with that is that when we accept something as truth, there comes with a particular degree of authority. And the mind, just from a point of nothing more than, psychological or behavioral science, if you read the book by Cialdini, Influence, it's a book on behavioral science. Authority is one of the most powerful things that we can ever encounter mentally, because we always will submit before authority. So when we see these facts or these truths that are presented to you in the world of, 9 out of 10 businesses fail, and the divorce rates are this, and people are doing this, and all of these kind of facts or truths or statistics, if they are, and we accept them, how does an idea serve you if it leads to the opposite of the reality that you want? And you're going to have to be able to analyze your reality and see your reality and see specifically your frequency and say, do the things that I actually hold in my mind as truth, do they serve me? What do you believe to be true about the world? What do you believe to be true about success? What do you believe to be true about relationships? What do you believe to be true about health? Extrapolate this to whatever your desired reality is. And as I always say, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. You can, put as much shea butter on yourself as you want, but if you're waking up in a condition of reality that you don't like, then there's just no point to it. Now, to that point, to that point, we need to make sure that the truths are actually specifically leading to a desired reality that you accept. So let the truths that you hold in your mind lead to your desired reality. And in order for them to do that, they need to be things that contribute or things that reflect that, not things that directly oppose that. And as I was just saying just now, more often than not, we actually end up accepting things that are in direct opposition and complete contradictions to what actually begins to serve us from a point of frequency. And as you know, all frequencies must turn to a reality. And I say all of this to say, you have to understand something. You've taken on the feat of actually being the one that alters the consciousness and changes the realities of your bloodline. That's no small thing. I mean, there is no big or small to the infinite, right? Which is within you, and God is within you, and that is no big or small feat. But to the point that I'm simply trying to make here is that you have to understand, in order for you to go somewhere you've never been, you need to become someone you've never been. In order for your family to go somewhere you've never been, you need to become someone you've never been. Now, bear in mind, I don't want you trying to go out there and save your family and trying to be the one who does all of this. Really and truly, all I need you to do is be a beacon of light. And if they're supposed to wake up, then they will. And if they don't, then they're supposed to be examples to you of what reality is going to be like when you don't, and if you don't kind of come to this realization much more sooner than you've already come to. Because you're going to be making a sacrifice. You're going to be sacrificing how do I say this? You're going to be sacrificing what your family has been used to from a point of mentality and consciousness, which isn't going to be an easy thing, because one thing is going to happen, and that's this. As you begin actually transcending these generational curses and doing the work to alter it, something dangerous is going to happen. And I don't say this to say that your family are evil at all, but I need you to understand that the way that your family think and their state of consciousness is an entity in of itself. In the occult, we call them egregores. It's nothing more than a collection of thought forms, which then creates a spiritual organism that doesn't exist. But because it's created, it simply wants to exist for the purpose it was created for. You're actually going to be severing and breaking that connection through the alteration of the vibration of the generational curse into a generational blessing. And because you're going to be breaking it, this entity is not going to be happy. And what it will do is actually begin to turn your family against you in the hopes of your family keeping you directly in line with everybody else. They'll say, no, don't do that. That's, it's not going to work. Or they'll project their worry onto you, their fear onto you, their scarcity onto you, or even jealousy or anger. And it's not necessarily them. And I don't want to say they're possessed, because this ain't like one of those churches where people are like, boom, and they're just like, it's not one of those instances. But it is a something to be aware of, that this entity will actually begin to turn your family against you to keep you in line from breaking free from its kind of collective hive mind. This entity is literally going to have one purpose, as I said before, and that's to keep you in line, because the universe, unfortunately, it likes what I call energetic equilibrium. It likes that particular degree of balance. So it likes everything being in one line. So as you attempt to break out of it, the entity is going to say, whoa, 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 where you going? Nah. We've been broke for like 3 generations now. You better get back. Or we've had bad relationships for 2 generations, or whatever it may be. But you need to have the capability to break outside that box, which is just one thing I wanted to preface that with. Now, the final step, ladies and gentlemen, the final step is actually the beginning phases of what we call transmutation. But before you can transmute anything, the first step is awareness. I repeat, the first step to any form of transmutation or transformation is nothing more than awareness. Because how can you change the state of something that you're not aware of to begin with? This whole lesson can be summarized into a totality of simply being aware of what came before you, aware of what your default is, because I always say this, the aim isn't to live life by default, it's to live life by design. And it's not until you can look at the default for what it is that you will actually be separated from it. Because when you don't have the capability of analyzing the conditions that you're born into and what that is supposed to mean, that means you're going to be one with them. And if you're one with them mentally, then that means there's going to be exactly that reflected into your reality. Now, the final step, I'm not gonna write 4th or 5th because I don't remember. But the final step, as I said, is our ability to transmute. And all transmutation comes down to one thing. Transmutation is nothing more than altering the vibration. Because through altering vibration, something beautiful happens. Every vibration, when it builds momentum, it turns into a frequency. Every frequency must be what? I'm glad you said it, and if you didn't, go away. Every frequency must turn into a reality. So this is really the beginning stages. And so we need to know how to alter that vibration. And when I say that vibration, I mean specifically if we extrapolate it against the 5 levels, because each one of those particular attributes, whether belief, whether, let's say EC, thoughts, emotionally charged thoughts, focus, what was the other ones? Identity. And the other one, emotional conviction. For whatever the quote unquote generational curse is that we're going to transform into a blessing, we need to first begin to transform the curse into a blessing. Curses and blessings are the exact same energy. They only have one difference. What's that difference, AJ? On your phone in class.
The rate of vibration.
Give me your phone.
The rate of vibration.
Bingo. Rate of vibration. Rate of vibration. If I was your teacher, I would have gave you a D. Pause.
What?
Pause. The rate of vibration. So if the only difference between a curse and a blessing is the rate of vibration, but it's the same energy, if you're on the side of a curse, what's the only thing you need to change to move over to blessing? Vibration. That's all you need to do. If curses and blessings are the exact same energy, their only difference, the only thing that separates them is the rate of vibration, then the only thing you'd have to change is your rate of vibration. How do I change my vibration, Nero? Relax, you're gonna get some. Your vibration is always dependent upon one thing, and remember it because it's nice and it rhymes, and that is your concentration. Across these particular levels, for each and every single one, so hopefully you've got your levels written down. You've got what beliefs that you have, what emotionally charged thoughts that you have, what you've been focusing on, your identity, your emotional conviction. Once you have each and every single one of those things written out, then what you're going to have to do is to look for their direct opposites, because polarity is the game of opposites. And those particular things, they have an opposite. They need to. You can't clap with one hand. Light doesn't exist without dark. You know, people often say that light is better than dark, but as Dr. Phil Valentine said, you know, if I put you in a room full of light, you wouldn't be able to see. If I put you in a room full of dark, you equally wouldn't be able to see. So, coming to that understanding, let's say one belief is, let's say all men are trash. you would need to go to the opposite belief of that, which is all men are good. And you'd have to maintain that belief, accept that belief, and continuously repeat it into your head. If you're focusing on the worst aspects of relationships, and every single time somebody cheats or something goes wrong, whether on social media or anywhere, you need to begin to centralize and change your focus to all the good relationships that resonate and reflect what you want to be in. Then the emotionally charged thoughts, the identity, and you need to know that you're going to be in a good, healthy relationship. Same thing with money. If the beliefs around money is, for example, you know, being rich is evil, it's simply the same energy, only difference is their rate of vibration, to say being rich is good, and concentrate around that particular belief. And of course, please, whatever it is, take it and make it the opposite, because through doing so, what you actually begin to do is to change your concentration on where your energy's been going. And your concentration determines your vibration, and your vibration determines your frequency, and your frequency determines your reality. This is the only way that you will be able to finally break the generational curse. Now, there's one final step. I know I said this was the last thing, but there's one final step, just one.
You look good when you clean that board.
AJ, stop objectifying me. Speaking of which, yeah, all of you stop objectifying me. No, I don't like being objectified. It makes me feel like a piece of meat. Know you a god even when they say you ain't. Yeah, nigga.
Kendrick didn't even make it into your top 5.
That album was amazing.
He didn't even make it into
of course
your
it was
top 5 raps.
Actually, he was the most listened to song on my Spotify.
Why? Because he was trending.
Anywho, the final step. Maintain frequency. That is quite literally the final step. As you begin entering a new particular condition of reality, of course, frequency, consciousness, state of mind, mental attitude, like I said, certain things are going to begin to happen in your world. And luckily for you, I have a video on that. And those things could be your old frequency coming up to try test you. So go watch my video on how to outsmart the old version of you, or the 2 tests that the universe gives you before it manifests. You need to have the capability of maintaining frequency, because if you can't maintain the new consciousness that you're going to be in, then you actually end up falling back into old patterns. And when you do fall back into old patterns, please don't beat yourself up. Go watch my video. What's it called? Like what to do when you fall back into negative cycles. Something to do with negative cycles. I don't know. Something like that. You need to know how to maintain the frequency long enough for it to materialize in your reality as a new normal, as opposed to some phase in and out. Because we're not doing this shit for it to be a phase. Let that be for the other spiritual people. But for you, this is your new reality.